All right, we're back out here again, and today we're gonna start welding on the dash on this old car here. And yeah, so I'm gonna start welding this in and patching it up, making it solid. All right, let's get started. All right, so I've come down here and welded the base in, and I got a stitch in the center. So she's in there now. What we're gonna do is come in here and section all these out, these little dividers, and then I'm gonna weld a piece in because I'm not gonna use the dash pad anymore. So I'm going to weld all these holes and fill this void up with a piece of metal. First I'll put it on a cardboard template. Poster board's what I bought. Once I get the upper part done, then I can start working on the center part and then go down. So we're going to start here. I'm going to cut all this stuff out, and then I'm going to make one full solid piece for that. Alright, so I've cut all those ribs out and smoothed it up with a grinder. So now I'll be able to make that. I gotta put a brake in it. See how there's a peak right there. So I'm gonna mark that out with a piece of poster board, and then I'm gonna mark the brake locations, and then I'm gonna brake that piece. And it may need a little bit of English wheel, a hammer. Yeah, but I'm going to get it to where I can tack it in there and then grind it down and fill that spot in the dash. Alright, I got a piece of poster board cut and bent where it's going to be broke. It'll probably need some shrinking with the shrinker. Probably have to shrink it to pull it together, but I got it now to where I can go up in the inside with a marker and mark out the hole onto this. And then I can cut it out and move it onto a piece of steel and then break it and get it to fit up in on the dash and weld it in. I'll do the top section, and then I'm going to cut out the whole center section and do the same thing, and then I'm going to go down. So, alright, so I've ripped it off there, and I'm just trimming it out with the scissors. And once I get this basically template done, I'm going to move it over to a piece of sheet steel, put the brake in it, and come back here and take a grinder and get it to where I get the bit the best it can. And then I'll weld it in and grind. Alright, so I've transferred the template over to a piece of metal. Now I'm going to whack it out there, and I got the brakes marked on each side. I'll put the brake in, and then I'll start, I might have to shrink it with the shrinker a little bit to get it to pull under that curve. But after a little bit of fitting, I'll be able to weld it in. Alright, I got that upper piece of metal made, welded in there. It's all ready to grind now. So I'll grind it down, and then hammer and dolly it till I get it straight. So yeah, that's the piece that I made. So I may grind it down and then cut the center section out, and then it'll be easier to get in there and hammer and dolly it, and then I can build that center piece. I think I need to come in here and weld a brace in there and weld a brace in here before I cut the center part out, and then it'll just be like a piece of round stock. Hold that together, hold this together, cut the center piece out. Alright, I'm going to grind this down and then cut this piece out here. Alright, I got it all ground down. It's ready for some hammer and dolly work. Get as close as I can before filler. But I got that break in there. And it didn't turn out too bad. It's never perfect. When you got a wire welder, it's going to warp. So like these places, I'm going to have to hammer and dolly. But once I get this cut out, it's going to be a lot easier to get that a lot closer to where it is, where it needs to be. So I'm going to put a support welded tube in there, welded tube in here to hold the bottom part together. And I'm going to whack, I tacked it just to kind of form so I could weld the bottom edges and have it, but all this center section is coming out now. Alright, I got supports welded in. So, and that center part and that upper part's welded. So, I can come in here and cut the center part out and then make a piece to weld in there. And then, while I got that out, I'm going to hammer and dolly that a little bit. Try to make it a little bit better. It's really not too bad now. A little hammer and dolly. Once this is out, I can get in there without any problems. But I'm going to come in here and just slice this out all the way. And, yep. Hammer dolly that. Make new piece for here. And then once that's all welded and ground, then I can go down here and make this piece. And then I can come in, do the gauges, that kind of stuff. Okay. Alright, so the center part of that dash is all cut out now. So we'll be able to make a solid plate, goes all the way across and weld it in, and then the gauges and that'll go to it. So now we need to come in and hammer and dolly this while we can get in here with the hammer and dolly. We'll get this closer to where we don't have to put so much Bondo in it. With a wire welder, it's going to warp. So just a little bit of man work. We'll get this all. I'm going to fill these holes in for the dash. We'll weld those in too now. And alright. Little trick I learned. I welded a couple bearings on a pair of vice grips here. What that allows me to do is adjust it, treat it like an English wheel. I have to grind the welds from the backside. Once I do that, I can pull up and down on this if I want it to curve a certain way. Also adjust the tension and just run it over the metal. And it allows me to straighten things out. And with the hammer and dolly, it makes it to where you don't have to put as much mud in. I had a weld crack on me here, so I'm going to have to redo this weld. But she's coming along to where, everything ends up getting mud skimmed on it. People that say they don't are lying to you, but we're going to get it really close. And with the center section out, I'll be able to work it until I'm happy enough with it. I got to fill these holes in, and that's all going to have to be hand work there. Yeah, we're getting closer, and then we'll weld that centerpiece in once I get this one to where I'm happy enough to glass it or either fiberglass it or Bondo it. So we're getting closer, slowly but surely. Alright, I got the top part of it here all welded and everything. So I'm gonna call it for the night, and tomorrow I'll come out and finish this stuff. Alright, I shot it with some black paint here. And it's going to need a little bit of filler, but I'll light skim across the whole dash, some sanding. You won't even know that I put that in there. So I got the top filled in, and I'll start working on the center here now.